Every era believes it is facing an unprecedented ethical dilemma, and every era is partly right. Technology changes faster than values do, and whenever that gap widens, society is forced to ask uncomfortable questions. Sport has always been one of the clearest places where those questions surface, because performance strips ethics down to their essence. Today on A4 Digest, I want to explore the ethics of performance enhancement, not only in elite sport, but in the broader human project, and why the question is no longer about whether machines can make us better, but about what kind of better we are willing to accept. Human beings have always enhanced performance. We forget this too easily. From footwear to training methods, from nutrition to education, from tools to tactics, performance has never been purely natural. Every generation builds upon the technologies of the previous one and then draws a moral time just beyond its own comfort zone. The ethical debate has never been about enhancement itself. It has always been about fairness, agency, and meaning. What makes this moment different is not that technology enhances strength or endurance. We have seen that before. What is different now is that artificial intelligence enhances decision making. It intervenes not only in how fast we run or how hard we strike, but in how we perceive, anticipate, and choose. It moves closer to the core of what we consider human agency. This is where discomfort begins. In elite sport, decisions are often made before conscious thought has time to intervene. Athletes rely on patterns learned through thousands of repetitions. AI operates in a very similar way, detecting patterns and predicting outcomes faster than humans can articulate. At first glance, this looks like symmetry, but there's a crucial difference. Athletes decide with consequence. Machines predict without responsibility. That distinction is the ethical fault line. When an athlete commits to a decision, they bear the physical, emotional, and social cost of that choice. Victory and failure belong to them. When an algorithm recommends an action, responsibility becomes diffuse. Who is accountable when a decision leads to injury, exclusion, or harm? The athlete, the coach, the data scientist, the system itself? Ethics live precisely where accountability becomes unclear. That is why sport functions as a moral laboratory. It compresses questions of fairness, effort, and merit into moments of action. It reveals that we value when outcomes are visible and consequences are immediate. When enhancement technologies are accessible to all, they are often tolerated. When access becomes uneven, enhancement begins to look like advantage rather than progress. AI intensifies this imbalance. Not everyone has equal access to data, infrastructure, or expertise. Performance enhancement becomes stratified along economic and institutional lines. The question is no longer simply, can this improve performance? But who is left behind when it does? There is another ethical dimension that often goes unnoticed, which is coercion. When enhancement becomes normalized, opting out becomes costly. If everyone trains with predictive algorithms, those who choose not to are seen as irresponsible. If cognitive augmentation becomes standard, rest and restraint are reframed as weakness. The choice disappears quietly. Ethics do not always collapse through force. Sometimes they erode through expectation, which makes our important A of our collective dialogue, which is altruism. Altruism matters. Why? Because it introduces restraint. Altruism asks not what is possible, but what is protective. It shifts the focus from maximizing output to preserving dignity, health, and autonomy. Enhancement that protects athletes from injury, extends careers, and reduces long-term harm aligns with this principle. Enhancement that extracts more performance without regard for consequence does not. The difference is not technical, it is moral. This tension extends far beyond sport. Academia, business, and everyday life are now shaped by performance-enhancing technologies. AI tools optimize productivity, decision-making, and communication. The same ethical questions apply. At what point does assistance become substitution? At what point does optimization erase agency? And at what point does efficiency undermine meaning? Athletes offer an important lesson here. Winning without integrity feels empty. Performance without fairness loses its social value. Sport only matters because we believe effort, skill, and courage still count. If outcomes become primarily a reflection of technology rather than human commitment, the meaning of competition dissolves. The same is true of innovation more broadly. And so the future is not human versus machine, it is human with machine under human values. Technology should sharpen human judgment, not replace it. It should protect health, not demand sacrifice. It should expand possibility, not narrow choices. These are not abstract ideals, they are designed principles. The most dangerous assumption we can make is that ethics will catch up later. They rarely do. Ethics must be embedded at the point of design, not retrofitted after harm occurs. This is where scholars, athletes, and technologists share responsibility, not to slow innovation, but to guide it. Performance has always been about more than winning. It is about how we define excellence. If excellence becomes detached from integrity, progress becomes hollow. Machines can make us faster. Only humans can decide what is worth becoming faster for. And that decision cannot be automated. Until next time.